Hey everyone, I'm Eric Blumberg, live outside Busch Stadium where the St. Louis Cardinals are getting ready to play Game 1 of the World Series. I'll have a live report for you coming up soon.
And a family wants a dog put to sleep after an attack on a young boy.
Also, family and friends mark the 2-year anniversary of a 9-year-old girl's death. KOMU 8 News, first at 5, starts now.
Live from Studio 8A, coverage you can count on in high definition. This is KOMU 8 News, first at 5.
They prevailed over the Phillies. They beat back the Brewers. Good afternoon. I'm Angie Bailey.
And I'm Jessica Smith. Now only the Texas Rangers lie between the Cardinals and a World Series title. KOMU 8's Eric Blumberg is live at Busch Stadium with a World Series preview.
Hello, ladies. It's the 107th edition of the World Series, and can you name the last time, like the Texas Rangers currently are, that a team went to the World Series and lost, made it back the next year, and won? Well, that was the 1988-89 Oakland A's, managed by Tony La Russa, who is now, of course, the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. See, it all comes full circle sometimes. Let's talk a little bit about this game. Both teams are here despite losing their ace before the season even started. Of course, the St. Louis Cardinals lost Adam Wainwright to an injury in spring training. Cliff Lee, the ace for the Texas Rangers, he left via free agency. Former Missouri Tiger Jeremy Maclin, of course, now he's a Philadelphia Eagle. He has announced that he'll be at the game, but he's not the only one that people might know. There's a lot of drug-sniffing dogs roaming around. Well, that's because the Secret Service is here, and the Secret Service is here because the First Lady is here, Michelle Obama, attending the game. Now, the Missouri football team definitely has a split. They have 35 players from the state of Texas and 51 from the state of Missouri.
It is a 50-50 thing, but with me, I'm 100% Texas Rangers because they play in my home city of Arlington, Texas, and I know we're going to bring it home.
Texas sports aren't as good as Missouri sports. And Pujols is going to show them what's up this whole series.
So tonight's game starts at 7 o'clock. Chris Carpenter on the mound for the Redbirds and C.J. Wilson pitching for the Texas Rangers. Here's a stat for you. The St. Louis Cardinals have never lost a World Series game here at Busch Stadium. Of course, I'm talking about New Busch Stadium. 3-0 back in 2006 in the inaugural season for this stadium. They swept the Detroit Tigers in 3 straight games here at the New Busch. I'll have much more for you coming up during the 6 o'clock show, but that does it for me live outside Busch Stadium. We'll send it back to you ladies in the studio.
And in case you're wondering, St. Louis's weather
Board of Curators began a 3-day session today, and presumably a move to the SEC will be among the discussion. KOMU 8's Adriana Amato joins us live from the UMKC campus. Update us, Adriana.
It may not be on the agenda, but people are talking about whether or not the Board of Curators will discuss conference realignment. The meetings start at 7 o'clock tonight in the Raphael Hotel in Kansas City, right behind me. Their discussions will continue until tomorrow afternoon, and then the Board of Curators will begin their public session until Friday afternoon. Whether or not they make a decision on conference realignment is not determined at this time, but people are definitely tuning in. KOMU will have team coverage all week, and definitely tune in. Reporting live, Adriana Amato, KOMU 8 News, Kansas City.
Thanks, Adriana. There are new developments today in the search for Lisa Irwin. Kansas City police executed a search warrant at Irwin's home today, armed with shovels, rakes, and bomb detection equipment. The child's parents told police their 10-month-old daughter vanished from her crib 2 weeks ago. Lisa's parents voluntarily allowed investigators to search the home before, but this is the first search involving a warrant. Police say the parents have not had a formal interview with investigators since 4 days after the baby was reported missing.
A Howard County 3-year-old got his 4th rabies shot this morning after a neighbor's dog bit his face a week ago. Kane Studley will need 6 shots here at University Hospital to prevent him from getting the disease. The dog has not been vaccinated against rabies. Kane's family wants the dog to be put to sleep, but the Howard County Sheriff's Department says owners don't have to restrain their dogs outside of city limits.
The county doesn't have a leash law or ordinance or anything for his dogs running at large, and that's why people live out in the county, so their dogs can run free.
The Sheriff's Department says the dog has to attack a second person or animal before the owners can face criminal charges.
Cole County residents will mark the 2-year anniversary of a 9-year-old girl's murder. Elizabeth Olden's family and public will gather at Hawthorne Medical Garden Cemetery, where Olden is buried. The girl disappeared on October 21st, 2009, while walking on Lamore Drive in St. Martin's. Authorities soon found her body in the nearby woods. A family friend does not want the brutality of Olden's death to be remembered, but rather the beauty of her life.
She was just a sweet, adorable little girl. You know, she was a pleasure to be around and with, had lots of friends at school, was an excellent student. She loved to read.
Sephoric suggests attendees of the vigil wear pink and purple, Olden's favorite colors. The girl charged with Olden's murder remains in custody at the Cole County Jail awaiting her January trial.
Columbia Councilman Darrell Dudley's job is a little safer Wednesday after organizers fell short in their recall effort. KOMU 8's Brian Johnson joins us with the latest details from downtown Columbia. Brian.
That's right, Angie. Well, the effort needed to gather a lot more signatures than they were able to gather over the last few weeks. The organizers obtained 830 signatures toward the required more than 1,500, so they fell short by about 700 signatures there. I spoke with Janet Jackson Thompson, who's one of the grassroots organizers. She said, quote, Mr. Dudley just hasn't listened to his constituents. He said, I can't tell you how many times he said I at the meeting held at the Daniel Boone Regional Library at the October 7th meeting where the different plans were discussed. Now, Jackson Thompson said the recall petition was the only way to get his attention. And I tried, of course, contacting Mr. Dudley, but he has not returned our calls, my calls. So we'll let you know as more develops in our 6 o'clock report. Reporting live, I'm Brian Johnson, KOMU 8 News, Columbia.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Other news, the Missouri House Committee talked about perceived problems with the sex offender registry today. Lawmakers and law enforcers say they like the idea of switching to a tiered system for classifying sex crimes. Now, under the current law, people who commit any sex offense must register for life as offenders. Some want to change the system so people who commit minor crimes can get off that list after some time has passed.
We shouldn't make ordinary behavior among teenagers, for example, into crime. We'll fill up our prisons.
Officials say they will hold more hearings in November.
Jefferson City school officials told us today they'll survey the community next month to find out which high school people prefer. One plan consists of turning Jefferson City High School into an academy where students can get a more specialized education. The school board prefers the academy system, but the district is still discussing renovating the current high school or building a second campus.
Millersburg residents joined Governor Jay Nixon today for a groundbreaking ceremony that will bring high-speed internet to rural areas. Using one grant, one loan, totaling $23.7 million combined, Socket Telecom is working to install a fiber optic network in Millersburg and other parts of rural Missouri. The new network will give residents, business owners, healthcare facilities, and others access to high-speed internet, local telephone, and video services.
Oh, everybody is so pumped up and excited. It's almost like I look at it as like the generations that grew up in this area, maybe when they first were getting electricity through the rural electrification program way back when.
And crews are already working to install the network in Millersburg. They'll activate areas of the community as they go along and hope to have everyone online by April. New cervical cancer screening guidelines for women.
How often should women get checked? That number has changed. We'll have that story coming up.
Increasing age doesn't mean a decreasing IQ. Surprising developments about your brain power.
And a chilly forecast we have for you for Mid-Missouri Plus. We'll get an idea of how it's going to be on the pitcher's mound tonight at 7:05 at Game 1 of the World Series. That's next on KOMU 8 First News at 5.
All right, thanks a lot, Dave.
Deer processors near Ashland say they aren't seeing as much meat as they'd like to see come in. The Missouri Department of Conservation says the warm weather at the beginning of the month could have caused a decrease in deer and hunter activity. The Ashland shop has seen 40 deer come in, less than what it would usually see, but the owner says there's no reason to be concerned.
Lions, tigers, and bears, oh my. Remember that?
I do, one of my favorites. Ohio police have their hands full with some very large animals.
And a foreign country launches an investigation after U.S. accusations. That's coming up in a look at your world news.
An Ohio man lets dangerous animals loose into the community.
And President Obama offers words of encouragement to veterans. KOMU 8's Danielle McCarthy has the First Nation report.
Officials in Ohio say they've either captured or killed all but 2 animals that got loose from an exotic farm last night. Lions, tigers, and bears were among the animals that escaped. Officials also confirmed the owner of that farm, Terry Thompson, intentionally opened the gates and cut some of the fence wires before killing himself, possibly in a final act of revenge against his neighbors and authorities. Still on the loose are a monkey and a wolf. President Obama was in Virginia today, stressing that his Jobs Act could help veterans find work. President Obama said the plan encourages companies to hire veterans because of their leadership experience and knowledge of cutting-edge technology. The president's jobs plan includes separate tax credits for businesses that hire veterans who have been unemployed for at least 6 months.
There are far too many veterans who are coming home and having to struggle to find a job worthy of their talents.
And finally, the U.S. Postal Service is considering options to do more than deliver mail. With annual losses in the billions and looming job cuts, the Postal Service is looking for new ventures in order to survive. Some proposals include offering check cashing services and leasing extra space in postal facilities. Other suggestions are offering public services like fishing and hunting licenses. And that's your first look at national news. KOMU 8's Molly Balkenbush has your First World Report.
Thanks, Danielle. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton made an unannounced stop in Kabul, Afghanistan today. Mrs. Clinton is scheduled to meet with the Afghanistan president along with other leaders tomorrow. Karzai has expressed frustration in trying to reconcile Taliban fighters with the government. U.S. officials say Afghanistan's political settlements with the Taliban are key to ending the war. The U.S. plans to bring most of the forces home by 2014. Today, Iran's court system ordered an investigation into what it calls the human rights crimes by the U.S. It's a response to a UN report on Iran's alleged rights violations and charges by the U.S. that Iran was behind a plot to assassinate the Saudi ambassador to the U.S. The head of Iran's court system said, quote, "We must open a special case for America's crimes that is carried out in this country and other Islamic states." Iran contends allegation and the UN report are both manufactured by the U.S. to increase sanctions against Iran. And finally, protests in the Greek capital against new austerity measures by the government turned violent today. While most of the protesters were peaceful, crowds outside Parliament clashed with police, hurling Molotov cocktails, rocks, and fireworks at security forces. Greece's Parliament votes tomorrow on new austerity measures. The reforms are necessary for Greece to qualify for another round of international bailout money. And that's your look around the world tonight. We'll be right back after this.
In your health news today, a government agency recommends women get screened for cervical cancer now every 3 years rather than every year. The U.S. Preventative Services Task Force says yearly Pap tests are unnecessary and that most cervical cancer cases are found in women who have not been screened in the last 5 years, if ever. The American Cancer Society also recommends women older than 30 should be screened with both the Pap and the HPV test every 3 years. And a new study finds women with high blood pressure in early pregnancy are more likely to have babies with birth defects. Past studies have shown ACE inhibitors, that's the most commonly prescribed drug for high blood pressure, can increase the risk for birth defects in the second and third trimester. But a new study of more than 400,000 moms and their babies showed the risk for defects was the same among those who took blood pressure medication and those who did not. There may still be time to improve your IQ. That's according to some new research. Experts at University College London conducted IQ tests on 33 teens, then tested them again 4 years later. The study showed some performed much better the second time around. The scores correlated with changes in the brain. If a student's verbal IQ improved, the researchers also noted an increase in the area of the brain that handles speech. Roughly 1 in 10 Americans that are older than 12 years old take antidepressants. New statistics from the CDC show antidepressants were the third most commonly prescribed drug taken by Americans from 2005 to 2008. Women were 2.5 times more likely to take the drugs than men. The research also shows less than a third of users have seen a mental health professional in the last year.
In today's photo finish, a pair of twins show their team pride just in time for the World Series. This is KOMU 8 News at 5 coverage you can count.
We're back with another look at that forecast for you tonight. It's going to be kind of rough. Temperatures hovering in the middle 40s for this evening. For tomorrow, some sunshine I think will make a comeback. 54 degrees then. Our next chance for rain looks like it's going to be on Sunday.
All right, thanks, Dave. First up in tonight's photo finish, here's a beautiful picture of a cloud-covered sky that Lou Schneider sent us. And here's a picture of twins, Barrett and Braden, awaiting the World Series to start. Mom and Dad sent this photo in from Hallsville. We also love your you-themed photos for U News. We'll share your photos on our 4, 5, and 6 p.m. newscast. Just go to KOMU.com and click on the U News tab.
Now here's what we're following. Coming up at 6 o'clock tonight, police have stepped up patrols today after a car hit 2 women on Rock Quarry Road over the weekend.
And we'll have a lot more World Series coverage live from Busch Stadium.
That's right. We've got plenty of folks there. But Blumberg is there right now talking to folks from mid-Missouri, so we know you'll want to tune in. We'll see you at 6 o'clock tonight, folks. Thanks so much for joining us.